Mental Health and Society Today by Liliana Simpson. So what is mental health? Mental health has been redefined many times over the last decade, even century. The Encyclopedia of Social Problems states that it is the psychological state that exists in the absence of mental illness, McCloskey, paragraph 1. Whereas contemporary science states that it is a social, psychological state greater than the mere absence of mental illness, McCloskey, paragraph 2. To put it in simple terms, mental health is simply the state of an individual and the factors that impact their abilities to function in daily life. And mental healthness is not just one defined term, it is many factors that includes emotional, physiological, psychological, and social well-being. So why is it important? Well, the last 5 years has started a decline in mental health globally, most notably in younger generations, between the ages of 10 and 14, and 18 to 25. With a world where news channels, social media, and other mediums focus on negative events and thoughts 24/7, the consequences are greatly impacting the health of our world and our communities. There is also less time spent on leisure activities and more time spent on work responsibilities, and there is less time to relax and deal with the stresses of life, so everything just keeps building up. And this may not seem like a big issue or even a crisis. However, there are many statistics present in the world today from many researchers globally that shows that this is a crisis and it will continue to rise in prevalence until someone finally notices it. For example, about 29% of all diagnosed mental illness is categorized as social anxiety disorders. And about 1 in 5 people in America have suffered from poor mental health, and there is a strong correlation between access to resources and the prevalence of mental illness, meaning if you have lower access to resources, you probably have higher mental illness or poor mental health. And females are more likely to have poor mental health, and the population most impacted by this crisis, as I stated before, is the age group 18 to 25 and tweens between 10 and 14 or 15. And stress levels have skyrocketed since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. So there is a corresponding Excel workbook that I created, and there is 4 sheets in it that break down all the statistics that I have found for mental health. And as I said, it may not seem like it doesn't affect as many people, but there are so many statistics that show otherwise, and there is a massive impact on poor mental health and in America. And poor mental health can include burnout, stress, that negatively impacts your sleep schedule, your daily ability to function, things like that. So let me show you my Excel workbook real quick. So this sheet is population demographic, so there is a breakdown of the most common types of illnesses out there and how many people are affected by it, a pie chart about it, and then just a smaller diagram to show how 1 in 5 are affected by mental health issues. There is this chart right here that shows the prevalence of mental illness and access to care in the United States. And each state is broken down with a score that was determined by some government agency. And the more negative the score, the less prevalent mental illness is and the higher they have access to care, whereas the more positive it is, the least amount of resources they have accessible to treat and help them deal with their poor mental health or mental illness, and the higher prevalence of mental illness present. And then here's the percentage of age groups with mental illness, and then gender broken down. I did not include non-binary or anything like that. I just included what their gender was when they were born. And then there is the stress percentage from the COVID-19 pandemic. So how can this crisis be dealt with? Well, as of now, there are many movements that encourage the population to be self-aware of their health. And if you have a serious mental illness, please seek treatment. Don't try to Google how to deal with your stresses and things like that. And just know your normal mental state and try to keep it as normal as possible. Here's my references. Thank you.